Right now, the feeling that we get when we watch money getting printed is a little bit of excitement because each of those green pieces of paper still represent spending power and opportunity. I wonder when we look back at these types of videos in the future if we'll still feel the same way. Why do I mention that? Because the markets want the Fed to fire up the printing presses again and re-stimulate this economy by easing monetary policy, and the expectations have begun to fluctuate quite a bit. Looking at the Fed funds rate for September, people are asking for a 75 basis point cut right off the bat. They're looking for deep cuts right away. Now, we know that the markets began to crash on some data that came out regarding unemployment. And this morning, we actually got some good news. Now, there's a ton of people that are doubting what the accuracy of this morning's report and are concerned that a week from now or 2 weeks from now, when they revise those numbers, because they'll give you the initial published data and then often they will finalize it later, that the number actually isn't accurate. But that's what canceled the capitulation downturn that we had been in. Now, if you guys remember, I've showed you the SPY chart many times, and I've said at least 10 times in the last handful of videos that the market rarely goes down for a fourth week straight. The S&P 500 rarely gives a red candle 4 weeks in a row. And I mentioned that we still had today and tomorrow to turn the candle green. And so it appears we are still bouncing. I'm going to take you guys into the SPY chart and show you where we might be going and what level we need to hold to know that we are still in an uptrend. I'm watching the charts just like you should be from day to day and hour to hour. Now, I have to highlight that we had a very successful trading day. I entered a number of swing trades that worked out beautifully. One I alerted that gave me a 100% return, and I think a lot of folks in the Chart Goat University followed and made some good wins today. It's not just me over there. There's a ton of guys in there providing guidance. It is a university. After we made the swing trade, I broke it down, and I took some time to teach as to why the trade worked out, as well as give some guidance on the SPY for the rest of the day, and it all played out exactly as predicted. Guys, if you're not a member of the Chart Goat University, you should come over there and check it out. The SWJ Heart Fam is growing rapidly, and it's a very active community with a ton of guidance from not just myself, but a lot of other seasoned traders. Now, I believe that it's a pro trading community, but there's a ton of people that are just getting going, and it's a place where you can find help and get questions answered, not just from me, but a ton of people that are extremely helpful. I think it's an extremely positive community. Don't sleep on it. This is the Stocks with Josh show. Thank you for hitting the like. Thank you for dropping a heart and saying hi. If you are new to this page, hit that like and the subscribe so you can get some help trading these choppy markets using the charts as a guide. We are not trying to jump ahead of the market. We are trying to react. We're not proactive to the market. We're not trying to guess. We're trying to wait and see what the candles and the charts tell us, and then we follow carefully behind, believing those charts. Can I get a like on this video if you are on the same page? Now, today I'm going to give you guys a couple hot plays, trade setups that I'm looking at that are both for swing traders as well as option traders, and I'm going to give you a hot crypto take. I'm going to bring a special guest on to highlight a couple of the important news stories surrounding Bitcoin and some of the charts that he's looking at, and I'll bring him on in just a little while. So why did the markets turn green today? Well, we got a better initial jobless claims report than had been expected. On that note, right when I was going to make this video, I saw a news story pop up. Paramount Global announces it will cut 15% of its U.S. workforce. Shares rise on the second quarter earnings. I underline that breaking news story just to remind you that the market is going to be watching unemployment moving forward. And as I said earlier, that the data that we just got may not be accurate data, and so it can be quickly adjusted and the markets could return to a downtrend. So on that note, be careful about your position size and be careful about holding plays overnight. In the local trend, which means tomorrow, I see the markets continuing higher. I'm going to highlight Apple stock today and show you where I think it might be going before it could face another test of strength and a possible reversal to the downside. I'm not predicting that. I'm just showing you. I'm going to show you guys what I'm watching there. Let's just start off, though, and take a quick peek at the SPY and exactly what targets I've got on that. All right, as I said before, the market rarely goes down 4 straight weeks in a row, and that I was expecting the 4th weekly candle to go green, and that's what we've got right here. I'm showing you the 5-day trading chart. Now, we need to get above 531, and we finished the day right at 531, but the good news is that we are currently sitting above the 21 EMA. Now, if we had gotten rejected there, then it would have been a pretty serious warning sign for the markets. At the moment, it appears as if we've got a nice little bounce going. The next test is going to be 539. We have to see how tomorrow's candle closes. We want to at least see this week close a candle above 531, and that would give us the signal that we could potentially be in that V-shaped recovery, or at least moving to 539. Again, we're not out of the woods just yet because this is a data-driven, news-driven market, and we could easily see another smackdown before moving higher. All right, now I want to briefly talk about CleanSpark. They were going to report earnings this evening, but they postponed it. This is an active swing trade for the ChartGoat University. I've been buying since $10.53. Now I have a stop loss set, and I'm watching it very carefully. But even if we were to get another down candle, I'm still bullish overall on the opportunity on CleanSpark. I would still be wanting to re-enter right away on any form of a dip. I might just wait for a flash down, even if we had bad earnings. Now, I'm coming out here to outline that for you because sometimes you take an early start in a play and there's still some volatility. In the micro, I'm going to play it cautiously. In the macro, I'm absolutely bullish on CleanSpark because I believe that when we do finally get a move back to the upside on Bitcoin that gets confirmed and we begin to push up towards the end of this year on Bitcoin and the altcoins, I believe CleanSpark is going to make its way back up to the top of the range, which is easily $20 to $23. Let's go look at that chart real quick. Okay, we're going to start off on a daily time frame, and yes, price has broken down quite a bit. It consolidated around $16 for a very long time, just like Bitcoin was consolidating around 60K, and when Bitcoin broke down, CleanSpark broke down with it. Now it broke beneath our bullish ascending channel, but we have since recaptured the channel, and now we're sitting ominously at the bottom of the channel. Again, if we were to break, I've got my stop set right beneath $10.50, which is largely where I entered my position. I have accumulated some more, bringing up my average cost. That's where I've currently got my stop loss set. And if we did break it, and I triggered or sold my position during earnings, then I would be wanting to reaccumulate somewhere around $8.35 because I see big opportunity. If you want to be a conservative investor and you want to take this cautiously, then $8.35 is a pretty nice price not to ignore on CleanSpark. If we were then just to return back to this area of $16, you would have a near 100% gain opportunity. Now, I believe that if Bitcoin gets to 80K in the months ahead, I could see CleanSpark easily hitting this $23 mark, which again, if you got in at $10.50 and held through some turbulence, even if it went down as low as $8, if my projection is correct, then you would not be at all upset about buying in this range. So if Bitcoin goes higher in 2024 and 2025, CleanSpark is absolutely going to follow it. It's one of the best performing minor stocks of this particular Bitcoin cycle, and I don't see why that overall trend won't continue. Even if we were to come down to $8.35, we'd still be making a higher low, which I believe would then take us on to make a higher high. 2016, then 23, and then 32 is my overall target for the big move in 2025. Now I'm going to quickly give you two more charts because I'm running out of time and we need to make time for that hot crypto take. So let's go back into the charts to look at Micron Technologies and Apple stock. Okay, guys, Micron Technologies, like SMCI and NVIDIA, has been on an explosive move up since December of 2022. Now, we absolutely hit a top at around 160, and we have seen very strong profit taking and rejection. Now, personally, I'm watching this overall bearish ascending channel. Now, I am foreseeing that we're going to touch the bottom of that channel, which I've got at around $80.70. Now, we also have to not just blindly enter at 80.70. We want to see what type of candles we get in this area. We want to see if the MACD curls up. We want to see if the stochastic curls up before entry. But this is an area of high interest, and you can see these little alarm clocks or signals that I've got set at 80.70, and I've got another one set at 74.80. Now, what we want to see is for it to respect a trend line. We want to see if it respects the ascending channel. If it doesn't respect that, we want to see if it respects previous structure. And if it doesn't respect that, we want to see if it'll bounce on the structure beneath that around $64. But I am looking at Micron Technology as a potential swing trade in the days ahead. Now, I'm going to take you into the Apple chart here in just a minute, and let me remind you that the last time we traded Apple, we got a 400% win on that trade. It was puts to the downside, and we entered them right before Warren Buffett had announced that he had sold 50% of his bag. And the reason why I mention it is I want to remind you, Warren Buffett sold 50% of his bag. A pretty big position to take against one of the most important companies in the world. Now, I believe that Apple stock is still going to see bullish days ahead, but ultimately, if this market wants to correct and go down, true support for Apple stock is between 192 and 182. Those are the most important support lines in the days ahead, and there still may be companies attempting to unwind a very large position in Apple stock. And because of that, I'm going to give you a potential bearish view on Apple and where I would be looking for price rejection to consider another Apple put play. Let's go look at that chart. All right, on Apple stock, we have some bad patterns. You guys hear me talk about these trading patterns all the time. Right here, we have a bearish ascending channel, broke hard to the downside. Now we have a bearish ascending wedge, which would bring price back to 216. We're currently sitting at 213, which means tomorrow could be another good day for Apple. We also have this beautiful bullish candle that we printed today on Apple. I think price would pass 216.80, probably get above to around 218, hit the top of my resistance line that I've drawn here, and that's where we need to watch it carefully, because if we end up getting a rejection candle at that important and significant area of that used to be support but is now turning resistance, then we know that there is a ton of more profit taking ahead for Apple and room for it to unwind and for the price to continue to come down. And then we're going to try to catch and get some of that. I've got signals set for Apple, and you'll get more updates and alerts on these stocks with Josh personal Patreon, which is the Chart Goat University, where not only am I giving you alerts, but I'm also explaining my trades to you guys so that you can learn. And if I stop doing this thing, you guys can continue to make Wall Street your ATM. That's the goal. Education. I've said it so many times. Learn, test, execute. Most traders begin with executing, then they learn the hard lesson, and then they start over testing again. Hopefully you're not on that journey. And if you want to avoid it, get into the Chart Goat University. All right, let me just bring on my special guest so we can get a hot crypto take and keep our eyes on our crypto portfolio as well. Please help me welcome Mark from Tribal Trades. All right, Mark, Bitcoin has been moving sideways for over 170 days. We're still underneath this critical price zone of 60,600. That's the important price point that Bitcoin has to recover above for us to believe that we're moving back to all-time highs. And so we're still in the hands of the bears for as long as we're beneath 60,600. But the fact is, we just bounced off of 49,000, and here we are, $10,000 higher at 59,000. There's could be a ton of bears waiting to pounce on the bulls at that level, and we might be headed towards another leg down. Are you bullish or are you bearish? What's your hot crypto take?
That's a great question. So I'm looking at the 200 EMA on the daily time frame. That's sitting right now at about 59,400. Now, historically, in every bull market, when Bitcoin has gone below that, it hasn't stayed, number one, below it for very long. Number two, it's always worked out to be a local bottom and a good buy opportunity. So while we're above that moving average, and right now we're sitting bang on it, Josh. So while we're above that, I'm waiting for that daily close. While we're above it, I'm bullish, and while we're below it, I'm bearish because we could bounce off it and come down and reach some of those lower targets. Of course, we've got the CME gap right above it that's sitting at about 59,500 to about 62,500. They generally get filled sooner rather than later. Now, of course, we could come back down, reject off that 200 EMA, then later on bounce back and fill that that EMA gap. We've also had the hash ribbons buy signal fire off, and that historically has been another good buy the dip. It doesn't fire off many times, only 19 times in Bitcoin's entire history. So only probably about twice a year over the 10, 11 years has it fired off, or less than that. And then literally, I'm not, if we do come down, I'm not really seeing, I watched your video the other day, and I think you were spot on. You were calling for 47K. 47K was exactly what I felt we were going to come down to the other day. We didn't quite get to it. Doesn't mean we're going to come down to it. At this point, if we do get a bullish close above the 200 EMA on the daily, I'm less likely to say we're going to come and tag that. And remember, the miners, the cost of mining a Bitcoin right now is $45,000. Historically, if we've lost that level, we have gone into a bear market. And so I'm not calling for some of the super low levels that I've seen online or posted around by people. While it's possible, I do think that if we get down there, I'd really question if we're still in a bull market. So I'm gonna pin my TA on the 200 EMA daily, sitting at about 59,400. I want to see some close. I'd love to see a 3-day closer over that. Maybe a weekly closer retest, and then off to the races would be great. If not, I think we could just bounce around here for a little while there's some more accumulation. And definitely the altcoin market has been great for accumulation as well.
Well, I love that hot crypto take, and I just want to clarify that I'm not calling for Bitcoin to go back to 47K. My specific call was that is the lowest that I could see us go if we went into a black swan event, maybe a really bad news story, breakout or escalation of war. We could potentially come back and tag that level. But at the moment, I would agree with Tim that as long as we're watching the charts, I said it earlier when we were talking about stocks, do yourself a favor, don't get in front of the price, get behind it. Yeah. Let's see what it does if it recovers those moving averages and it closes on a daily or a weekly candle. Then we can get even more excited. If we get rejected, what would rejection look like? Well, it would look like a real tall wick rejection candle. It means that the market was moving bullish and then the bears came and pushed the price down. So at a key level of resistance or support, watch the candles. Now, Mark just gave you that important level. Now it's time to watch the candle. Don't take a risk position until the candle tells you what it wants to do. We're still in a news-driven cycle, but I would also agree with Mark that we do not have to come back to 47K at all. Not at all. And so we're going to be watching that close potentially. I think that 59 to 60 level that he's referring to is super important. Ultimately, on the weekly time frame, we have to recapture our trade zone, which I've defined as 60,600. If we get a little higher and we get up there and we close the weekly, then there is no reason to believe that we won't go back to the top of the range, and you might have missed the best buying opportunity yet so far in 2024. Not predicting that. I'm following the charts, and I recommend that you follow the charts too. I want to remind you guys again, this is Mark from Tribal Trades. Go check out his channel. Now, I'm going to leave a link to one of his videos that I think you need to watch at the end of this video. Go check out that video and hit subscribe when you're on his page. Appreciate you being here, Mark, today. Peace and blessings, fam. We'll see you tomorrow. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.